This is massive breaking news. We have Biden coming out. He just declared a federal emergency this morning. This just came out. Biden has declared a federal emergency. All right. National Guard have been deployed. National Guard helicopters are in the sky right now. And this is a big developing situation. And they are saying that things are going to get even worse. They're saying it's not over. Even top government leaders, governors of these states are coming out and saying it's not over, and we need to be prepared for even more to come. And this is just very suspicious what's going on. Okay, we have all these articles coming out in the past year, especially the past 6 months, really telling us what they're doing, what's going on. And now we have this massive event, this major disaster, and Biden has now declared a federal emergency for this event. Okay, so big things are happening right now, and it's suspicious. I brought up this point before, that when does it become, who is to blame for this? All right, who is to blame? When does it become maybe there's somebody to blame? All right, there are also a lot of natural things going on as well in the environment and with the earth that could be causing these events too. So if you're in these areas, they're saying you need to evacuate now, you need to get out now. In some areas, they're even saying that it's too late to evacuate. It's too late, and they're saying you're pretty much screwed. All right, you're screwed if you're in some of these areas. And this is why you always have to have an evacuation plan and an emergency plan. I'm actually at a different location right now, not far from my other location. All right, this was our property that we owned before, our off-grid property. All right, that's what you've seen me on the past few months. That's our property that we own, and we were building up, developing, but we are now at a different property right now because we had to be a little bit closer to town for some medical emergencies. All right, so have multiple areas to go, have multiple solutions, because you never know. Your first bug out area could be a dud. All right, could be a dud. So we had to go to a second property. All right, we're still totally off grid. We're still on our generator and still on water tanks. But sometimes that's how it is. Your initial property could have a fire. It could have a flood. It could be overrun. It could be overwhelmed. There could be too many people in this area. It could be too hot. That's how our property was too. It was getting over 100 degrees and it was getting dangerous on some days, okay, where we were. So it's hot out there, and there's a lot of things going on, and there's a lot of suspicious things going on as well. So let's get into what's going on here. Biden has declared a federal emergency. The National Guard has been deployed, and this comes on the tail end of all these articles that have been posted in the past 6 months, telling us what they are doing, telling us their plan openly. All right, we've already seen it with our own eyes. People point it out all the time, and people act like it's crazy if you point this out, but there are government documents and government agencies, official statements coming out and saying, we are doing this. This is us, and we need to be getting prepared because this could also be used as a weapon. And there's even times like this where things have been used like a weapon before in the past. A New York Times article, I'm going to cover this as well. There's a lot of stuff to cover today, but farmers are panicking right now. Farmers are panicking from this federal emergency that Biden declared. So this is just another, so I'm saying this could be intentional or it could be unintentional. It could just be a natural disaster going on here. But farmers are panicking. Farmers are saying their crops are being destroyed from this event, and they're saying that they are rushing to the fields right now to save anything that is left in their fields because they're worried that the rest is going to be destroyed and devastated. How many more hits can we take to our farm industry? All right. And if you remember, in the same exact area, I'm going to get to the details in just a second. I'm just setting the stage here. The same area, they're the largest chicken hatchery, all right, egg production laying facility in the US was burned down here 6 months ago. You remember when all those facilities were burning down, all those farm facilities? Now this same area, farmers are panicking and saying they're going to lose tens of millions of dollars of produce in this area potentially. And lots of farmers are rushing out to the fields to save what they have left that already hasn't been destroyed. So big things are happening. We saw these fires happening, I reported on, and the government was admitting benzene and formaldehyde are in the air and being released in the air. Apparently, naturally, from a forest fire, apparently that naturally happens. It interacts with the UV light in the atmosphere. This is the theory that they're putting out in the mainstream news. But they're also saying that there are extremely high levels of it right now. And not to mention that can block out the sun and affect food production, plant production, affects photosynthesis for the plants when the sun is being blocked out. We're just seeing hit after hit on our food supply, record drought in other areas. So we're having record rain in certain areas and then record drought in other areas. And I've brought up this point before, how certain things going on could be siphoning water essentially from other areas because you are creating storm systems where they are not naturally occurring. And if you do that, then this water has to come from somewhere. So you are potentially sucking this water out from the plants, because plants have osmosis and they respirate through their leaves, and they respirate out oxygen and water. Okay, it's released into the atmosphere. That's how plants stand upright, is the water is going up from the soil through their roots and keeps the plant up. That's why when you don't water it, it gets all droopy, okay? Because it's evaporating up and it's keeping the plant up. And this water has to come from somewhere. It could be taking the water from plants, from the soil. It could be siphoning the water from the soil to create these systems. So let's get into what's going on here. Biden has declared a federal emergency. The National Guard has been deployed. The helicopters are out. Okay, they're saying that this isn't over. They're saying that there could be a major dam failure and this entire city could be wiped out. They're saying you need to evacuate now. And they're also saying it's probably too late to evacuate if you haven't already, because most of the evacuation routes have been closed. But they also came out, I'll put it up again one more time before we get into the details here of everything, because this is 100% real and 100% true. Farmers are panicking. This is even happening in this specific area. But they came out, the federal government came out and said, we are doing this program. I will show the CNBC article right here. I have it bookmarked on my computer because it's my favorite article to talk about and show, because they just admitted blatantly, and I covered this right when it happened and it barely got any views. People were like, okay, all right, crazy man. But now a year later, people are understanding this is real, this is happening, and they are admitting it over and over that they are geoengineering the weather and the environment, okay? And this could be causing these catastrophic weather events. They are working on blocking out the sun, which affects photosynthesis, plant production, could affect yields of crops, okay? Crops need sunlight, water, nutrients, NPK, fertilizer to thrive. And if you block out one of those things, sunlight, then it's over. And if the water is contaminated with silver iodide, that's what they use for cloud seeding. Look at this article here. I will highlight all the major things. They spray sulfur dioxide, silver iodide into the skies. And this could be what's happening here, what's causing these events to go on. So Biden has declared a federal emergency for massive flooding that's going on in the Northeast right now, in New England, in Vermont and New York and these areas, okay? They are getting flooded, and they have the National Guard out right now, and farmers are panicking because their crops are being destroyed. This is why I wanted to set the stage for this stuff's real, this stuff's going on. And check out this, all right? This is an article from the New York Times from 1972. It's from Seymour Hersh. Kind of crazy. I didn't even realize this was from Seymour Hersh until I reread this article. And it's from 1972. And if you know who he is, hit it up down below. He just came out recently and had some groundbreaking information. Let me know if you know what that is down below. But rainmaking is used as a weapon by the U.S. Look at that. That's a New York Times article. Look at that. From 1972. Rainmaking is used as a weapon. This is from 1972. Look at that old newspaper there. New York Times. See that up top? New York Times. Okay, 1972 from Seymour Hersh. And he said that the U.S. was using rainmaking as a weapon in Vietnam and North Vietnam to wipe out their troops, okay, to flood the troops out, to destroy their crops, to destroy their infrastructure, to destroy their roadways, everything, all right, to destroy their equipment, their camps, their housing, everything. Flooding is very devastating, and we are seeing major devastating floods in Vermont right now. The capital of Vermont, Montpelier, all right, excuse me if I pronounce that wrong. I'm struggling over here to pronounce this. It's like some French, they got some French names and stuff up there. Montpelier, the capital of Vermont, has been flooded out completely right now, and they are warning that the dam is about to burst in Vermont. They are warning the dam is about to burst. Let me get to this article here. Residents of Vermont capital told it's too late to evacuate as dam threatens to burst. So this is the Wrightsville Dam, had only 6 feet of capacity left, and quote, a large amount of water is at risk of spilling over into the North Branch River. That was early this morning, reported on 7/11, my dad's birthday, 7/11. Shout out my dad. He passed away over a decade ago to opioids. Okay, this stuff's devastating. I know that's off topic here, but shout out to my dad. I love my dad. He passed away over a decade ago, and his birthday's 7/11. So I like to keep his remembrance alive. But this was updated just today, 7/11. Okay, they're saying that the dam only has 6 feet of water capacity. That was early this morning, and by the time you're reading this, this dam is, or by the time you're seeing this, this dam is going to be over flooding. And they're saying, quote, they have never seen this happen before. They're saying this is uncharted territory for this dam, and it is the Wrightsville Dam. And they're saying that it could have catastrophic effects. They could have dam failure, and the entire capital city of Vermont could be wiped out. It's already completely flooded right now, but it could just be wiped out, be just over the roofs. And the Vermont governor is coming out and saying that it is nowhere near over. This is the quote coming out of local news. Vermont Governor Phil Scott says, quote, catastrophic flooding is nowhere near over. Catastrophic flooding is, quote, nowhere near over. And this is devastating the farmers, devastating the crops, devastating the people in these areas. When they had a major hurricane, I believe it was Hurricane Irma, I believe, that hit this region, there were dozens and dozens and dozens of casualties from flooding, just from flooding that hit this region. And this is why I was saying that you need to have multiple locations that you can bug out to, that you feel safe at, that you could go to in an emergency, because there could be different emergencies going on. Okay, your one bug out location could be completely flooded. You might need to go to a different one. There could be a fire at one of your bug out locations. That's something I'm worried about. Out west out here is having a major fire. They happen all the time out here, and I wasn't too far from one at the beginning of last year, and there was a ton of smoke blowing our way, and they happen all the time. And yeah, you might already be at a secure location, but you need to have another place to go. You need to have another bug out location that's not too far, but it's far enough that it's away from this emergency or disaster. All right, so just something to think about. And check out these articles that were posted in 2014 and 2016 talking about Vermont. They specifically have already been doing this in Vermont for almost a decade, admittedly since 2014. Okay, and then this CNBC article, the federal government came out and said we're going to federally fund this as well, and they're specifically targeting mountainous states because they use the rain shadow effect. They essentially manipulate the rain shadow effect, where if you have a mountain range, okay, one side of the mountain range is going to get a lot more rain and snow than the other side. That's just how it is. And this is eventually how you get deserts. You have multiple rain shadow effects going over multiple mountain ranges, and essentially this is where you get climates where there could be a desert on one side of a mountain range and a luscious valley over here because of the rain shadow effect. So they manipulate this rain shadow effect during cloud seeding, and they target these mountainous states like the Rocky Mountains or the northern or the Appalachian Mountains. Okay, they target the Smoky Mountains all the time. Appalachian, they target there all the time, and they also target the northeast and New England, because there's a lot of mountains up there as well. So that's what they target. And this is an article from 2014, okay? This is, quote, "It's not magic on the mountain. It's a rain-making machine." This is from vermontpublic.org, and this is from 2014. And it says, "It's designed to improve the water supply in the area by releasing tiny particles of silver iodide." And they're just talking about how they have cloud seeding and silver iodide releasing machines all over the mountains. This is the article. It's not magic on the mountain. It's a rain-making machine. This is vermontpublic.org from January 9, 2014, almost a decade ago. Here's another one from 2016. "Watch. Vermont scientists make breakthrough in cloud seeding." Okay, so they've been doing this and admitting it for at least a decade. And now we have the federal government ramping up. When does it become a point where it's like, potentially the government is causing this? And there are a lot of factors going on as well too. We have a lot of environmental factors. We have a lot of ecological factors. We have a lot of human factors, and we also have a lot of solar factors as well. The sun is primarily the main driver of climate and a lot of these events. And we see that the sun is entering its grand solar maximum system right now. This is why I made this warning a couple months ago. And I was talking about how, or not even a couple months ago, last month, how NASA is warning that we could see major geomagnetic storms that take out the electrical grid because the sun is moving into its grand solar maximum phase right now. And it is going to put out a lot of coronal mass ejections, these CMEs, which could essentially act like EMP events. Okay, so we could have the sun as well with its increased geomagnetic activity, because the Earth is a giant geomagnet. Our Earth is magnetic. Humans are magnetic. Your heart is a giant electromagnetic vessel that beats all day from electromagnetism. Okay, we are all electromagnetic. The Earth is, the sun is, and we are being interacted with as well from these geostorms, and we don't even know it. It can affect our minds, it can affect our bodies, affect our spirit, all these things. And I know I'm getting a little off here, but these things are real. The Earth puts out these electromagnetic signals that can wipe out entire planets' grids, or at least the region where it hits, entire countries and regions grid and all of their electromagnetic equipment. Okay, it could be wiped out. Satellites, everything could be wiped out if they're in the path of this. And obviously something that powerful could be amplifying the Earth. Okay, if we look at things like Harp is specifically an ionosphere heater. Okay, it stands for High Altitude Auroral Research Program. Okay, so it's like a high altitude ionosphere heater, and it heats the ionosphere just like the sun. It essentially mimics the sun, and we see a lot of systems form and a lot of patterns form in weather from the ionosphere being heated in specific areas. Okay, they've documented this before, and that's exactly why Harp works, is because they can heat up certain areas, send electromagnetic frequencies to certain areas. And I've showed these documents 100 times. If you guys watch my articles, I've dug pretty deep in the Harp before and showed you guys all the documents. And it can mimic these electromagnetic waves that heat the ionosphere, and they can even create artificial aurora with Harp from radio waves. Admittedly, just from radio waves from Harp, they can create artificial aurora that you can see in the sky, colors that you can see in the sky. And we are even going to have a auroral event coming up this week where you can see it all the way down into Idaho and Utah and Oregon and some parts of Nevada. You can see the auroras. Okay, and remember, a couple months ago you could see the auroras all the way down in Phoenix, Arizona. I made a whole video on it. You could see it all the way down in Phoenix, Arizona. Okay, so these things go hand in hand. They cloud seed and spray silver iodide, which is the most electromagnetic conductive element on Earth, is silver. Higher than gold. It's higher than gold. Just go look it up. Silver is the most electromagnetic. It loses the least amount of current in its transfer, silver, go look it up, and they spray silver iodide into the atmosphere, and then they use Harp, an ionosphere heater, to manipulate the weather systems. And they are also using AI as well to train these weather systems and to perfect them, and they're getting better and better. That's why you're seeing, I follow some of these tornado guys, okay? Some of these people that follow tornadoes, like Reed Timmer, okay? Go check him out. He's a tornado chaser. He has this tornado chaser thing called the Dominator 3. He has a couple different variants of it. Pretty cool videos. He's on YouTube. Go check him out. He's a storm chaser, chases these mega tornadoes, okay? But these tornadoes keep popping up, and they seem like they're becoming more frequently, and it seems like they are becoming more powerful. And I believe that potentially they are training the AI to manipulate these Harp frequencies to train the weather, okay? Manipulate the weather at very high levels and very specific places, and they can just use the AI to crank it up and create tornadoes or create mega hail. We've seen these giant mega hail all over the country recently. Very suspicious, and people saying, I've never seen this before. We saw a whole solar field be destroyed by hail just a few weeks ago. There was a massive hailstorm, massive orange grapefruit size hail, okay, grapefruit size, and it wiped out an entire solar field from the hail. Just destroyed all the solar panels because they're just massive chunks of ice falling down. And imagine if that hit your head, right? Can knock somebody out, potentially end them, okay? So, and what was this article I brought up? This New York Times article, Weather as a Weapon. We could be seeing weather manipulation as a weapon. We already have all these admitted programs where they're spraying sulfur dioxide. And if you watch my channel, you've already heard about this for a year, how they're spraying sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere to block out the sun. There's a few different types of spraying. There's cloud thinning, there's sun blocking, and then there's cloud seeding as well. And you've probably seen all these different ones. And even the national organization on this, the International Weather Organization on this, has come out and said, we've identified these multiple new clouds. There's been 2 or 3 different new cloud formations that they've never seen before that have been identified since 2017. They've identified multiple different new cloud formations, and they are officially recognized as new clouds. That just, I don't know. I guess we never saw them before. I guess they never existed before, but now they exist. So something is going on. Big things are happening. The future is this AI manipulation with frequencies. That's the future of everything. They're going to manipulate weather with it, and they're also going to potentially manipulate the human consciousness with it as well. I've already broken this down in multiple videos, how AI experts are training AI. They already can put sensors on your brain, map it out with AI, and create a perfect picture of what you're thinking in your brain. And they know exactly what you're thinking. You could think a thought in your brain, and they could break it down with AI and retransmit it, okay? So the next level is they are working on brain control, and they're going to use these same technologies to interact with your electromagnetic brain waves. You have brain waves, okay? Your brain puts out brain waves. Go look it up. These are real things, and it's documented. And the next level is intercepting those brain waves and manipulating and changing them in real time, and changing thoughts, changing consciousness of individuals with this AI, with these radio frequencies. Essentially the same technology they're going to use on humans as well. That's why I was saying earlier, we're electromagnetic. The earth is electromagnetic. The sun is electromagnetic. This is why it's so good to get out in trees and get out in nature. They absorb these electromagnetic frequencies. Trees naturally do. That's why your phone doesn't work when you're in a deep forest, because these electromagnetic frequencies are being absorbed. That's why it's so good to just get in the dirt. There are microbacteria in the dirt that are literally good for your immune system and build your immune system and build your gut health. And especially for children, it's very good for them to get exposed to these types of things. Okay, it's good to take your shoes off and get your feet in the dirt for the same reason and because you are electromagnetic as well, and the earth is a giant magnet. All right, so I know I'm getting into all this stuff, but it's important, and the potential for this technology is essentially limitless. They could also be interacting with the earth's core and creating artificial scenarios as well, because the earth is electromagnetic and they are using these high powered frequencies, and these high powered antennas have been placed all over the world. Okay, very high powered, the new antennas that we're seeing compared to the old version. All right, I don't want to get too much into it, but all this stuff's real, all this stuff's happening right now, and there is a synthetic, genetic, electromagnetic manipulation of the earth and humans all the way down to a DNA level. Okay, we see this stuff going on. So just make sure you are getting prepared. Get yourself prepared in all aspects. I know I'm getting a little off here, but this stuff's real. This is what I really believe, and there is a lot more going on than what we can see. There is an invisible war going on, a psychological war going on, and that's why I like to bring up these things where the future is manipulating human psychology with these frequencies, and it's already happening. It's already happening. It's just not admitted. It's only admitted at certain levels. So get yourself prepared. Get your family prepared. Get out of these cities where all of these transmitters and things are. And please, if you are in these areas where it is flooding right now, make sure you are evacuating, okay? If you still have time to evacuate, farmers are panicking. All right, I read an article, farmers are running out there grabbing the lettuce, okay? They're trying to grab whatever they can, trying to get the most valuable crops. It said they're mostly targeting their lettuce right now because that's, you know, that's $2 a head right there. Every single lettuce head, $1 a head, whatever they're getting for it, 50 cents. It adds up really quick for lettuce. And they're out there because their crops are being devastated by this event. And Biden has declared a federal emergency. All right, so just make sure, and you need to look into this stuff too before you move to an area if it is flood prone. Okay, this is a 1 in 1,000 year flood, but certain areas are more flood prone than others, just like certain areas get hotter than others. Certain areas are more dry than others, have more wildfires. You need to look into all these factors and have backup options as well. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you're still here at the end, you're a real one. Please hit it up for me down there. Please, to get this video out to more people. It really helps to just share this video because people need to know what's going on and people need to get out of these areas. This dam is about to fail. They put out this article this morning, 7-11, that this dam is about to fail and it is overflowing and it only has a couple feet of capacity left. And by this point, it is probably reaching capacity and they're saying they've never had this happen before. So make sure you hit it up down there for me to just get this out to more people, spread the word. I really appreciate that. And please get your family stocked up, get your family in a safe location, and have your family have an evacuation route for your family because you never know. People, you never think you're going to have to evacuate or leave an area until it's you. All right, you just never think. You're always like, oh, it's going to be over there. It's going to be over here. It could be you, and you need to have a route. So hit it up for me down there, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a big old blessed day.